Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CX Live Dialogues. Today's most successful brands are leveraging customer experience as the cultural driver of change. Brands that want to be seen as category leaders have entrenched CX in their internal cultures. We are delighted to have with us today Anil Kumar, the Senior Director Sales at Uniphore Software Systems. Welcome, Anil.
Hey, thanks for having me, Aisha and team.
It's a pleasure. Now, Anil, one of the things that we have seen is that CX has transformed rapidly in 2022. What are the main challenges that you are seeing in the CX industry this year?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Uh, the CX industry is an interesting way you've coined it because the contact center industry, as it's quickly morphing into a CX industry today, it's been stagnant since the 90s, I would suspect. We've had IVRs coming up and becoming state of the art and still not being able to address what people want. It was a kind of a dump of a contact center where all the complaints went to. Then it started getting automated. You had DTMF 1 to 0 numbers that you had to get familiar with to get to where you wanted to go in a hierarchical queue to get support or to get answers to your questions. It's been pretty much stagnant for tens of years. In the last 10 years, things, however, have started to change. The reimagining, really, of the human-machine interaction with companies like Uniphore have really led to the advent of the data-driven analytics. And that has changed the whole realm of how data is looked at. Speech has entered the realm of usable data. And so all the contact centers have become part of the digital transformation that's been happening over the last 10 years. Everybody is on some kind of a digital journey. With the advent of apps, with the use of mobile phones and use of the web, there's been huge increase in investments to make that whole agent experience with the contact center agent more engaging and efficient. The use of conversational AI has become the talk of the town over the last 3 to 5 years. And while continuing to invest in the self-service aspects where you do not even get to an agent, that is pre-agent experiences. And then we have made it to the agent world. And from our customers and companies that are looking to invest in real-time agent guidance, automation of the agent experience, and what we call the after-call summarization, after-call work, the use of interaction and speech analytics to improve agent quality and management and customer experience. This has been the challenge of how to move from a regular contact center to what you call the CX, or the customer experience. And this whole human-machine interaction is beginning to be where all the major touch points for a human interaction are happening. Of course, we saw COVID over the last 2 years. The boom in the whole digital interaction has just gone skyrocketing through Zoom and Teams and WebEx and all of the digital conversations we're having. And I use the word digital because earlier they would be in boardrooms, which are not recorded. Then you have agents that are also going digital. They have a life too. It's a hard job. So this whole transformation of the agent experience from a contact center experience to a home-based one or to a digital engagement center, which is a physical center, these have all been challenges of the last 2 years. Essentially, the emergence of the contact center is now moving from a business enabler to a driver of revenue and all the costs being rationalized. And it becomes essentially the pivotal point at which the organization interacts with their customer and makes the best use of the customer's time and their own products and services to be positioned appropriately. Just to finish off, there have been huge amounts of advances that have been made in delivering real-time contextual engagement. Now, what is contextual engagement? When somebody calls, there is a context. When somebody reaches out to an organization via an email or a text or a WhatsApp, there is a context to that engagement. So it's not good enough that you get some information. And how to make that contextual, how to make those processes of every conversation come to life by using what is the human element, which is how do you use the tone, the sentiment, the emotion. So automation comes to mind first. Automating a lot of repetitive tasks, bringing RPA and robotic process automation to increase efficiency. You see accuracies are going up, and the best part is now every interaction can be become a part of this digital information space that's begging for transformation. And I think that would be some of the challenges that we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years, all driven by process automation and conversational AI.
That's very true, Anil. And the way you've summarized it with the leveraging of data by organizations and creating multitudinal varieties of use cases from it, whether it's the agent interaction, whether it's the customer interaction, whether it's the service delivery part of it, we are seeing tremendous opportunities to actually implement and execute technology at every touch point to be able to have some real wins from it. What are some of the latest developments that you're seeing in the conversational AI sphere, especially in regards to the impact on customer experiences and customer service in the new normal that you just spoke about?
Yeah, so conversational AI, as you coin it, is again a kind of a phenomenon over the last 4 or 5 years. Let's try and understand what conversational AI is for a second. Every conversation that we have, whether it's a telephone conversation between colleagues, a sales meeting, a customer meeting, an irate customer being handled either at the point of sale, physical, or through a digital environment, has all become a part of this conversation. And once that is digitized and that can be analyzed and then be used to either self-serve this customer, where you have kiosks, you have ATMs, you have self-service counters, or just go to the web and interact the way you want to. The digital native who's comfortable in that space are all using self-service to the best of their ability. And when you want to reach out to a person, that's when it becomes a conversation. And what we have seen over the last 5 to 10 years with NLU and the use of natural language and FAQs and knowledge bots, and you have CRMs all getting sophisticated, all together raising the level of data that's out there and being generated by the second. Companies started investing in chatbots. We call them intelligent virtual assistants or avatars. Some banks locally have implemented EVA to improve your banking experience, for example. Self-service wherever possible, so the human experience is simple. People want answers quick, so they just go and you say, I want to know how much money I have in my bank account, for instance. You should be able to get that without going through that queue and asking an agent. Over the last couple of years, conversational AI has started to extend beyond just self-service and chatbots, and are now driving an agent-led experience when you land with an agent, and that's a whole different level of engagement. Essentially, what conversational AI is now using is being able to deliver on the intent. Why is somebody actually there at your doorstep? Why is actually somebody walked through that front door? Or why is somebody called into you or reached out to you? It's pretty much caught by a human being in the sentiment, the tone, the emotion that's coming through is not just in what is said, but it's how it's said too. Agents quickly are able to decipher what exactly is the emotional state. And, we have bots that help the agent in real time. And that brings the next best action. Oh, the customer's annoyed about something. The card's not gone through. And the next best action is prompted to an agent. Now, even if it's a new agent, it takes about 4 to 6 months for an agent to be really alive and active and be able to be at the top of their game. And agents have a tough job. Many of them don't last beyond 6 months. So how do we get all of this to be a better experience for the agent who's actually interacting with the customer? So what actually drives that entire conversation starts with a better automation experience. Get rid of the problem if you can quickly. Engage with the customer in a positive engaging manner. And so the agent, or in this case, a virtual agent, gives an experience that the customer wants to come back to. And that drives a better customer engagement and experience. So, in addition, customers can use this whole data driven real time experience, reducing the onboarding time of agents, make them more efficient, make them more interactive, and be able to bring down that agent customer experience time, what we call average handle time, to much less. So, some of the latest developments that are changing the way this agent automation and the customer experience is touched upon. We have unified desktops. Agents have 15, 20 screens to toggle. It's where is that piece of information like? So unified desktop pretty much brings all of that contextual information onto one screen and is driven by a real-time experience in some cases. The real-time prompting is the use of data and AI that brings context, brings history, and brings the immediate agent experience to really drive productivity. So, customer experience scores, for example, are being touted as the next best thing to CSAT scores or even NPS. So, when you're looking at that huge amount of data that you have, that prompts the next best action. Uh, Simple mundane tasks, you can just, well, like summarization of a call that an agent has to do the end of every call, is a boring repetitive task, oftentimes very similar. But what if the AI could take that over? So we at Uniphore have AI engines that actually summarize calls. The after call work is driven by a robot, an RPA engine essentially, that drives a far faster, less human prone, error prone experience, and that can be robotized and taken out of the realm of what an agent has to do. What does that do for customer experience? You get quick answers. Customer effort is far less. Quick, efficient, and contextual. Wherever possible, automate. So the customer is able to do help themselves, if you like. Digital platforms are actually driving unified experiences. We text, we chat, we email, we talk, we blog, we tweet, we do all of the above. But how do we bring all of these digital platforms together along with voice? And that's something that we address as a holistic platform. Now, Net Promoter Score is often used for CSATs. It's a sampling based on an outbound call coming and asking, would you promote our product? The angry customer says, forget it, I don't want to talk to you. An existing customer who's happy with that experience might give you a high score. A thrilled customer will give you a super high score. But what if you are actually getting the feel of all your customers, not the happy ones alone who are willing to take that survey, but 100% of your calls without having to call anybody out, giving you an NPS score that's more realistic? Add empathy, add emotion, add tone, add sentiment. All that adds to the customer experience. And it's not a robotic experience, it's a human experience. Oh my God, your card got stolen, you got mugged, you got robbed. I'm so sorry to hear that. That in itself makes the customer a little more reassured. And then he say, let me take care of this immediately. What do you want me to do? Cancel that card, or would you like me to put it on hold till we find it? He said, no, cancel the card. That's going to be done in the next 15 seconds. Hang on there and your card's done. Can I help you with something else? No, thank you so much. It's such a relief. I won't be robbed any further. That's the kind of experience that's being driven. Again, all this is sorting out problems, sorting out knowledge base. How about enabling sales? How about enabling collections? How about increasing insurance, renewals? These are all enabled with human bots or virtual bots that actually bring the intent of why somebody is called, and then you can actually drive the conversation to where the enterprise wants to go. So these are some of the top level developments that I would see that's going to be top of the mind for anybody who's embarking on a digital transformation journey in the next 3 to 5 years.
Sounds very fascinating, Anil. And one of the things that you've touched upon is the entire process flow of how that technology is absorbed and then finally leveraged by organizations. Can you share with us some examples of companies or perhaps sectors you have assisted with conversational AI and what impact they observed on their overall business?
Oh, absolutely. Um, My question really would be, which industry is not impacted by this customer experience that we talk about? So let's talk about airlines. Let's talk about banks, our everyday friendly neighborhood bank that we go to or we call up. Let's talk about insurance companies. Let's talk about technology companies, our shopping experience. Talking to the government, in itself can be a challenge. A simple thing like a renewal of a visa. How about automating all of these? Roadside assistance. Somebody stuck in the middle of a road. Somebody's got had a health problem. You have an outage of electricity or your utilities, healthcare, manufacturing, travel, education. My question really is, which industries have you not seen all of this digital transformation being affected by? So our story of going since we raised about more than $600 million over the last a year and a half, we've become a unicorn status company, which is essentially taking the whole conversational AI to a whole different level. Enterprises. Let me give you some names that are pretty, known household names, if you like. Vodafone, you have LG, you have Bank Paribas, you have MetLife, you have AmeriHealth, Blue Cross, Agoda, the travel company, you have DHL, Priceline, courier companies, UPS, and then you have all of these enablers. They are the BPOs like Tech Mahindra, Workspace, FirstSource, NTT, WNS, Dimension Data. All of these guys add to the whole experience that is going to drive their differentiation to their customers. So if you look at what is the approach to some of these industries, you have TV companies or media companies. Impact, every call, an average call is dropped down by about 40% of time spent with an agent. We all want that time back. We hate waiting on agents, and we hate waiting on a contact center line. It can be a very frustrating experience. The TV company dropped it by about 2.5 minutes, which is about 40% of their time. Sales conversion rate, a big top line item, went up by 2% in just a week. Immediate impact of data actually driving some of these experiences, right? Now, that's we're talking about impact within a week. O2, which is a Telefonica company in the UK, 80% of manual effort was just robotized, and RPA took over. So apart from that, the agent experience dropped by about 45 seconds. Let me, send you a SIM card or whatever was being done was just robotized. You say you get it in the next 2 days, and then until that transaction is completed, the robot pretty much takes care of that. So escalation reduction, people calling back and say, hey, I didn't get my SIM card, or I was not activated. All of those calls drop by about 50%. Agent training, agents are onboarded by tens and hundreds in a month. That dropped by about 40%, right? So training time dropped by about 2 weeks in the case of O2. So we're talking about huge impact of this human machine experience. Talk about AT&T. Their AHT, or their average handle time, dropped to about 20%. Customer churn dropped. The customers decided not to move away from them. It's so hard to get a customer. How do we keep that customer? Agent calls wrapped up quickly, and the whole after call work was finished up in seconds as opposed to minutes. So all this impacts the customer experience. And talk about another wireless company, Cricket. Average handle time dropped by almost 10 minutes, 9.5 minutes. The cost reduction was half a minute per every call, $50, sorry, for every call. That's huge savings if you count up the millions of calls that they handle in a month, right? So multi-departmental organizations activating multiple channels. Take Microsoft, right? Most of us know they activate and renew some of their cloud-based products, right? Customer effort dropped by 70%. Customer satisfaction surveys went off the charts, 99% customer satisfaction. Return on investment on their spend on what they did with us using something called intelligent virtual agent, or which is we call use self-serve, 3.5 months money back. The rest of the year, they were actually getting more money back into the bank in this savings. 11% increase in self-service. People didn't have to even go through that process talking to somebody. Just the first year, $4.5 million was the annual savings. Now that is straight away contributing to the bottom line of Microsoft. A technology provider, another one, huge customer experience uplift. We are talking about banking. The examples go on and on. A banking and finance company, it's basically a credit card company, 24% decrease in inbound call volume. They did not even reach the contact center. The volumes dropped because they were being contained from IVR to the what we call the visual IVR. Right? The visual IVR is a combination of the caller experience with the digital experience all coming together. The CSAT scores jumped to 4 out of 5, right? 69% of the customers completed the journey without even talking to an agent. So the whole virtual agent experience with the mobile phone coming into the picture really transformed that whole agent experience. So training time drops, attrition of agents dropped, agent ramp-up time dropped. They were quick to the seat, less training required, AHT targets met. 6 to 6 days is what one of our customers told us. It's Heartland Clark, which is a financial services BDO. So these are some of the bore you with the details, but examples of major impact that we have actually made to the lives and existence of corporates, which make customer experience the key differentiator.
That's a very, very beautiful summary, Anil, of how you're impacting various organizations and being able to deliver benefits to them. And clearly that's, showcased in the strength of the funding that you've received as well, and being established as a unicorn at this point in time. Now, how does Uniphore distinguish itself from other players in the market to achieve these successes? Because clearly it's a competitive marketplace. And what are the strengths that you would like to reference that showcase why you're having these astounding wins?
So first of all, let me just state this. We are not a point product or a point solution company. Like I said, we bring together texting, chatbots, virtual assistants, intelligent assistants, agent experience, use all the data that's gathered there to drive analytics that tells you what could be impacting the sales or a campaign that's happening the next day. So this is directly impacting business. That's where we're going with this. What are we doing different from others is position our entire platform. So when I talked about all of this could be one seamless platform that addresses all of this from the time a customer is signed on all the way to them actually not becoming a customer or ending up being a lifetime customer for life, right? So I think, would differentiate ourselves in not being a point solution to start with. We are an entire platform. What do we bring to the table? What is the value that we're talking in terms of technology bits? First, conversational AI that's driven by emotion, and it's an automation platform that truly unlocks the value of the enterprise. Every conversation, 100%, with real-time context, and leveraging every conversation using the emotion at that point in time, improving the efficiency of the agent that's handling it, and finishing the call or that experience with a robotized experience, and also bringing in the latest technologies, call them low code, no code, easy designer, to empower the business to run it without having to run to IT, without having to run to business experts or subject matter experts. A business analyst, say there's an Eid promotion that's going on in the next couple of days, they just change the flows without having to do any coding or using any technology. So unique differentiator, the first platform really to combine real customer intent in real time, understand the sentiment and the emotion behind that call, and combine them with past experience with that customer. The CRM comes into play. The knowledge management of the enterprise that has been built over years of collecting data comes into play. All the analytics that have gone into what should we do for the customer, what's next best action for the customer, all that comes up in real time and also goes back for corrective analytics. So a big part of what we do is analyzing every call that comes into the enterprise, right? The tone of the customer, and that's the differentiator. We bring that into every WhatsApp message through the tone. It might be a digital, but the tone comes through in the language. But how about taking that into a boardroom discussion or selling of a multi-million-dollar project or a multi-million-dollar banking transaction of a syndicated loan where everybody's sitting across the world on a Zoom call? I would like to know how each person was responding to every aspect of what I was talking about. So we have Q, which is our sales enabler across the world. It uses some amount of language, but a lot of our learning of behavior analytics comes from what is spoken, how it's spoken, the behavior and the body language of the person who's sitting in that on that conference call. They have to be on video, and then how do we interpret that wherever possible in real time and provide post call analytics. What did I do wrong? Why did that particular person not like my proposition? Because I see a 70% irritation rate, or the person went to their cell phone and started texting. How do I do that in real time? So this is what we have Q for sales. These are all unique differentiators, which is extending conversation into every aspect of even personal one-on-one interactions in a cloud or on a Zoom call or on a Teams call, Google Chat, what have you. Take that, put them all in one platform. This brings down the cost of ownership. We're working with a bank. They talked about lowering the cost of ownership, bringing down the cost of what they were doing, and getting the money back in 3 months' time. That's ROI, if you like. But add to that the accuracy, better prediction of what a customer is going to buy the next time around. Or what can I do right now to assuage this customer? That real-time context and conversations is something that's unique to what we do. Now, every product can have some element of this, but when you take that to a level of doing that in real time, it goes from an art to a science. So in short, conversational AI, emotional intelligence across multiple platforms, and adding more and more as we look at the latest acquisition, Collabo.ai, adds to a whole digital platform. And this is where we're going. Conversational AI is our bread and butter. So enterprise conversations, multiple languages, any accent, increasingly via virtual or video interactions, leading to complexity in understanding of voice, text, visual cues, all this done in real time, and truly transforming the customer experience using conversational, emotional, and tonal intelligence, basically to help a better customer experience and drive business growth. And all that shows up in better net promoter scores or customer effort scores or CSATs.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anil, for sharing everything with us. And we're really looking forward to having you at the CX Live show very shortly, where I think organizations would be very keen to understand how they can start leveraging the Uniphore platforms in order to gain the competitive advantages that you've just referenced. So thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate the time and look forward to seeing you soon.